would like to give the floor for a distinguished representative of Georgia. You have the floor, madam.
Madam Chair, distinguished representatives, youth delegates, it's my privilege to be here representing the Georgian youth at the 55th session of the Commission for Social Development. Classical approaches to development tend to compromise tomorrow for today and thus fail the test of sustainability. In the post-2015 era, we need to think globally and inclusively, taking into consideration the perspective of the next generations. No more business as usual. It's time for political decisions to go beyond politics, economic choices beyond economics, and aim at generating social goods. Meeting 2030 development agenda requires innovative approaches, tools, and partnerships with youth at the forefront, as we have what it takes: energy, motivation, imagination, technological know-how, and the information that comes with it. Yet, the innovative potential of young people for SDGs cannot be fully realized, while youth in Georgia, just as many other places in the world, comprise one of the most numerous groups among the unemployed, when even employment is not always a solution and working poverty is a cruel reality. When the high-quality education is not accessible for everyone, when internet is not affordable and universal, when gender divide persists and the development is not disability inclusive, when there are parts of the world where even globalization cannot reach, and when there are children living in the mountainous regions that have to walk kilometers to reach the nearest school. Especially alarming in this regard, in case of Georgia, is the newly announced closure of crossing points at the Engguri River, which will further restrict the freedom of movement and thus access to education of Georgian children living in the Gali district of occupied Abkhazia region, Georgia. Formulation and adoption of the youth policy document was a major achievement which gave Georgia, which showed Georgia's commitment to the objectives set by the World Programme for Action for Youth, ensuring that youth participation, education, employment, health, and special needs are appropriately addressed. And the monitoring web portal was also created. But putting policy in action is always more difficult than putting it in words. And that is also the case of the UN Youth Delegate Program, which needs not only widening, but also deepening so that young people are offered real levers to drive positive changes in their communities. Still, as I was getting more informed about Georgia youth state of affairs, I realized that problems are always more visible than the steps we take to solve them. But fortunately, we do take them. And today, I chose to share with you 3 best practices from my country. And first is the institutionalized support to science, technologies, and innovation that Secretary General also appraised in his report on programs involving youth. In 2016, the first ever High Technology and Innovation Development Center was built in Georgia, which offers creative thinkers financial, legal, and technical assistance to realize their entrepreneurial and innovative potential. A very minor but lovely example of which is a map of Georgia accessory that I'm now wearing in support of Georgia's territorial integrity. Interestingly, the actual name of the area where Tech Park is situated, Okrogana, translates into English as Silicon Valley, and not only name but also ambitions relate to Silicon Valley, California. I'm sorry, the Georgian one translates as Golden Valley. The street leading to the facility was also named Innovation Street as a symbol of Georgia's economy that is innovation-driven. Young entrepreneurs employ themselves and others, thus contributing to the reduction of poverty rate, but also creating new products and values that, if targeted correctly, can turn into innovative solutions to not only economic, but also social and even environmental problems facing the world today. And that leads us to the second best practice to mention, and this is the prioritization of social entrepreneurship for funding by state institutions. The Children and Youth Development Fund under the Ministry of Sports and Youth Affairs has financed dozens of social enterprises since 2013, covering areas such as culture, agriculture, and education. Great examples of well-targeted funding include Swing Workshop, Beekeeping Center, and Social Cafe established in Pankisi Gorge as sustainable countermeasures to the Islamic State recruitment of young boys and girls in this remote region of Georgia populated by ethnically kissed Muslims. As we are aware that poverty and desperation are the key driving factors behind religious extremism. Creating jobs in poverty-stricken regions like this is not only a moral imperative, but also a wise strategic move in this time of backlash against globalization. Last but definitely not the least is the efforts for youth empowerment for poverty eradication led by churches through the long-term investment in their education. In my mandate as a Georgian youth delegate, I paid my first visit outside of the capital to the village Nikosi, which was an epicenter of the 2008 war, situated just 3 kilometers away from the occupied Skhin Valley region. And interestingly, church-based education center there played an important role in educating the war-affected children of different faiths and ethnicity. And later I discovered the gymnasium orphanage in a mountainous region of Georgia, which even offered scholarships to orphans to study abroad. And the idea behind it, the bottom line here is, if you give man a fish, you feed him for a day. But if you give man a fishing rod, you feed him for a lifetime. And education serves as this fishing rod. And with these stories that I reported, I want to encourage powerful partnerships to buy in this journey towards poverty eradication and social inclusion. Madam Chair, before coming to New York, I traveled around Georgia in every single region, and I met with a wide variety of youth. And as different as their backgrounds were, they all wanted the same, the future they deserve. Thank you.
I thank the distinguished representative of Georgia for her statement. And now I would like to